I look at this Australian team and there's one word that stares back at me. It fills the screen. It fills my ears. It just tells me this is who we are. And that one word is power. This is a very heavy artillery team. Almost all of them in the top 7, 8 score at around 150 over games. And that's the new normal. And Australia, much like India, are defining the new normal better than most other countries. I mean, look at this lineup. Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh, Josh Inglis, Tim David, Cameron Green, Glenn Maxwell, Stoinis, Cooper Connolly in there. Very fine young player. There's just so much power in that side that you think, how do you stop them? The peculiar thing for Australia, though, is the draw. They play all their initial games in Sri Lanka and then come back to India at the business end of the tournament. And while it might seem peculiar, England do it the other way, of course, and while it might seem peculiar, I think it actually works enormously to their advantage, because it doesn't matter really what happens in Sri Lanka because teams are preceded and their team is so geared to playing in India. I've mentioned the power in the batting. I think they can chase down anything. They can go and score as much as anybody else. But they could just concede a few, much like how teams are structured these days. And that is why I think there are two key players in that lineup. One who's been doing it for years is Adam Zampa, and the other is Josh Hazlewood. I mean, Hazlewood just makes a mockery of the differences between Test cricket and T20 cricket, doesn't he? Bowls the same lengths, bowls the same line, hard into the pitch coming up. This hard length that initially people thought a few years ago at least that would be the unmasking, the bane of all the top players, has come back as a key attribute, and very, very few players do it better than Josh Hazlewood. And then there's Zampa, among the best spinners in the game. I mean, we don't see a lot of him because we watch a lot of the IPL. We don't see Adil Rashid as well, but much like Rashid, Zampa is a fantastic. Now let's run through that top 7, and then I'll come down to that one open position, which I think is number 9, Head and Marsh. I mean, Head, the inspiration for Abhishek Sharma. He strikes with 160, 165 most days. Conditions don't matter. And in that power pack lineup, he doesn't even have to worry about playing himself in. Mitch Marsh, on the other hand, is a very good two-gear player. We've seen him recently in the Big Bash. Doesn't matter if he's scoring 115, 120 the odd day if the pitch is a certain way, but otherwise he's a 160 strike rate player. To those two, then Josh Inglis only plays one way. What that does is it sets it up for number 4, 5, 6, 7, as all good teams do. Australia have experimented recently with Tim David at number 4. I mean, it just tells you that all this talk that we have about a finisher, a 15-ball player, is actually so much nonsense. If you're a very good player, the more balls you play, the more runs you'll make. And Tim David has shown that he likes playing at number 4. I do believe, though, that number 5 is the right slot for Tim David, because it allows Cameron Green to play at number 4. It's just the one iffy part of that team. You might wonder, what on earth is he about, given his numbers in India, which are astonishing. Average about 40s, fantastic numbers. But he's just going through this in-between phase in his career. I don't know just how ready he is to play a big part, but Cameron Green at 4 is a special player. I mean, hopefully KKR will discover that too. Then Tim David, and then Maxwell and Stoinis. Let's talk about the enigma that is Glenn Maxwell a little bit. So many IPL franchises over the years have discovered that they look at what he can do. Sometimes they get it, not as often as they would like to. And very often they're left scratching their head thinking, but there is so much there, why are we not getting it? And I've said this before and I'll say it again. The Maxwell of Australia is a different beast, and I use the word beast carefully, is a different beast compared to the Maxwell of the IPL. He'll go there, he'll bat some days at 6, some days at 7, some days he'll bowl in the power play, he'll come round the wicket, pinging those off breaks into the pads of players, and he remains, in spite of moving on in years, he remains one of their best fielders. That is something you will get with Australia. Fantastic fielding side up there. Tim David plucking off everything, much like Kyron Pollard used to do for the West Indies and MI. So Maxwell is a source of strength. And when he is batting in that six, I've often said before, you got a team of 10 and put Maxwell in there. That is when he is at his most dangerous. And that is why I still regard him as someone who could have a role to play if Australia have to win this tournament. I still think 5, 6 and 7 are interchangeable depending on the situation. But let's see what the top 7 gives them. It gives them a free-stroking top-order opening batter. And they only need 4 overs, really. But to give them flexibility, 6 overs between Maxwell, Stoinis, Green, and really the conditions demand, or if something goes wrong, Travis Head. You can easily get 6, 7, 8 overs out of those 2. Takes a bit of pressure off the bottom 4. Now, depending on the conditions that you're playing in, you could either play Cooper Connolly or a specialist spinner in Kuhnemann. But I think when they come to India, they will want the finishing skills of Nathan Ellis. That's the reason he's been picked in the side, to bowl at the back end. Hazelwood top and tail, Ellis middle and back. I think that's the way they're structured. Zampa through the middle, and then they'll get overs somewhere between Maxwell, Stoinis, and Cameron Green. They could, if required, actually play Cooper Connolly for Stoinis as well, because that gives them a left-arm spinner. But if Stoinis is free and hitting, there's a lot of power in there. With this Australian side, if you got 2 or 3 wickets early, you couldn't say for sure that you're in the game, because that is how they will play. And self-belief has never been an issue. Australia are fantastic, believing they're the front runners. They go into this game thinking, yeah, this is for us. For every single one of them, coming to India is no big deal. They might have actually played more games on some grounds in India than some of the Indian players themselves. And that is why I think they're just very, very strong contenders. It's a bit of a pity that that group is India, Australia, South Africa, West Indies. The West Indies do make it preceded in there. But say, can you imagine what that would do to those Super 8 games?
So thank you for watching, and do subscribe to this channel.